Satnam, beautiful sovereign sisters, Satnam, and welcome. Welcome to this week's Astrology and Ancestral Tarot Guidance. We are in for an incredible week, and today we're going to be diving into the very powerful full moon in Taurus that's happening on November 15th, which I call a revolutionary rebalancing. As we step further into the age of Aquarius, we're also going to explore what this means on both a collective level, especially in relation to the United States and recent election that we just went through, as well as how this applies to your personal journey, because as above, so below. Following that, we're going to dive into this week's Ancestral Tarot guidance to support you during this very significant shift in power, which you may not even be aware of that is happening. One that is calling for the return of the divine feminine and the reawakening of the matriarchal society. So if this sounds good to you and you're ready to reclaim your sovereignty, join us. So what are we going to start with this week? Well, the big star of the week is the full moon in Taurus that's happening on November 15th, 2024. And what I like to do is I like to look at the full moon, and then I like to look at the transits, astrological transits that are happening around it or during that same day to help better tell a story as to what this full moon in Taurus is all about. And this is how I came up with this theme of revolutionary rebalancing. So I'm going to break it down to you section by section, and then I'll give you at the end a summary of what this looks like, and then we'll go right into the Ancestral Tarot guidance. So during this full moon in Taurus, before we start to talk about Taurus and the energies of Taurus, because Taurus, together with what's happening around, is really what gives us a clarity of why we're going through such a rebalancing, a revolutionary, radical rebalancing. First and foremost, the sun is in Scorpio opposite the moon in Taurus. So we have a full moon in Taurus, very grounding, about foundation. I'm going to go deeper into this Taurus energy and archetype, very much about also financial, economics, security. But the thing is that it's happening during the time where the sun is in Scorpio because we're still in Scorpio season, while opposite the moon in Taurus. And this opposition between the sun in Scorpio and moon in Taurus is what's asking us to really reconcile our internal depth with our external reality. And I'm going to share with you here in a few moments why this election is so relevant to what these energies are telling us or guiding us to understand. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. Pluto is making and playing a big role in this full moon in Taurus because, and I'm going to go deeper into that in a few moments, Pluto is getting ready to leave Capricorn. It's been in Capricorn for 16 years. It has done an incredible job of breaking down all the structures of government, and I'll talk about that more. And now it's going into Aquarius on the 19th of November, excuse me. So now we're stepping into the age of Aquarius. But by the same token, in this full moon in Taurus, Scorpio ruled by Pluto, it deals with the undercurrents of power, of shadow side that we tend to hide from people, of transformation and metamorphosis. Now, Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Taurus emphasizes physical comfort, self-worth, and it's really rooted and connected to the material world, the body, the 3D that we see here. Now, with the sun in Scorpio, what we're being encouraged to do is to illuminate the shadows in our life. What does that mean? The fears, the control issues. One of the things that I talked about this morning in my community Sadhana for the Sovereign Sisterhood Academy and Satori Vitality and Spirituality, which is our virtual community for women on their journey of generational healing, is how what I see and the message that I received is that everyone is like receiving this cancer diagnosis, like the whole United States of America, especially because of what you'll see it's going through. We're being exposed to where the cancer exists within the United States of America, within our own personal bodies, mind, and spirits. What does that mean? Those shadows, those aspects of ourselves that we hide. Why? Because in the age of Aquarius, you cannot hide. Everyone's skeletons will be shown to the light as you are seeing right now. There's no way that you can get away with lying because energy speaks louder than words. And the age of Aquarius, as we move into today's video, you're going to understand more why this is so relevant. So people are right now walking around very uncomfortable because all of their wounds, all of this toxicity is coming to the light. And this full moon is expanding on those. It's asking us to ground this awareness and identify how these shadows have shaped our attachment to comfort and to material security. Even if it wasn't working out in our lives, the things that are ending, that are falling apart now, it's because they were not working for you. You shot out rockets of desire, and your desires are allowing the universe to mold itself to that desire. And with that, in order for you to reach that higher self, that future self where you've set that rocket of desire, a lot of things have to fall apart. Those shadows that have shaped our attachment to the old ways of being. So it's like a tug and war that's creating tension, which is urging us to release any attachments to identities or patterns that hold us back, particularly those that are tied to self-worth or even material possession. And this is key because when you have not done any type of inner healing work, especially generational healing, then right now that wound, that cancer is very obvious because this is directly associated with self-worth. When you are on patterns of generational trauma where there's constant depression, childhood abuse or neglect, there's toxic relationship patterns, or maybe even high levels of addiction in your family, then that causes a derailment and your ability to not, or it blocks your ability to connect with self-worth. So when we are not doing this healing work in the age of Aquarius, which is literally around the corner, all of that will be shown. And no longer can you lie and pretend and smile around like the Joker, like everything's okay, while inside of you, your nervous system is completely breaking down. That's why we have so many people that are experiencing severe burnout, where we have even doctors now diagnosing or creating diagnoses around it because it's just so common for the nervous system to collapse due to the fact that people are still wearing the masks. They're still tied to these identities, pretending to be someone who they are not. Now, along with the Scorpio sun energy with this full moon, we also have the moon conjunct Uranus in Taurus, and this is huge. Moon being conjunct Uranus during this full moon is very shocking. It brings breakthroughs galore. It's very unpredictable because that's the Uranus energy. But some people don't like to hear the truth or see the truth, but the truth sets you free. So the full moon in Taurus with Uranus, the planet of sudden change, rebellion, and innovation, electrifies the stable, earthy Taurus energy. And by the same token, remember, Scorpio's pulling up these dark shadows from deep within the subconscious mind. So these revelations don't have to be bad. You literally could have some incredible breakthroughs that will help you align with, especially what were the things that are blocking you from economic, financial security, those belief systems, the mindset, right? But for some people that don't want to face this truth and are continuing to be in that victim mentality of it's the government's fault, it's my parents' fault, it's everyone else's fault, no accountability, it's going to be really rough because Uranus is going to come in with the bank, and it's going to disrupt our emotional foundations. It's going to challenge you to see beyond the surface and confront whether your current sources of stability actually truly do align with who you are and who you are becoming. So expect, because of this, lots of emotional upheavals. And you can actually look in your birth chart to see where Uranus sits on your birth chart, which house, because then you'll be able better to be able to better tell a story as to, okay, full moon in Taurus. Taurus is in my third house of communication, let's say. And let's say that your Uranus is in your 12th house of Scorpio energy, of the mystical, of the esoteric, of the spiritual, right? Well, now you can tell, okay, Uranus is doing these breakthroughs in my spiritual realm and what is unseen. And it's also addressing my communication style. So you might be someone that's really revamping their branding strategy or their marketing strategy, or you're getting huge downloads as it relates to, oh my God, this is the way I really should be delivering my message. And I need to stop being afraid of these shadows that I've hid for so long and be authentically me. So that's how it shows up. That's why it's very important for you to like look at your birth chart, which you can download for free anywhere. And you can literally study it. A lot of these birth charts already tell you where all of the different signs are based on the houses, and you can better understand astrology specifically to you, because this is a self-realization tool that allows you to know yourself. When you self-realize and know yourself, you're basically, no one can touch you. You're sovereign. So at the same time that we have this full moon in Taurus, we got the sun in Scorpio, and then we have Uranus in the mix, and then Saturn goes direct just like a day afterwards. And this is a big deal because when planets go retrograde or direct, it changes the energy. And Saturn has been retrograde in Pisces. It's been, this is a 2-year journey that it's on, 2.5 years. And as it's been retrograde, there's been this renewed focus on establishing spiritual and emotional boundaries in your life. Saturn's journey through Pisces, what it's done is that it's softened all of our structures. It's asking us to build resilience in a more fluid, intuitive way, and also in those intuitive areas of our own personal life. So direct Saturn then encourages us to bring discipline and commitment to our spiritual practices, grounding this ethereal energy into the tangible. What can I do with it? What am I going to create? And this influence of Saturn now going direct, it supports us in releasing especially any illusions, any emotional dependencies that will then help us discern what is real from what is simply an escape or a fantasy. Because Pisces can be very kind of like escaping into an addiction, escaping into something that will alter your consciousness so that you don't have to deal with life, right? And this is where even especially in the age of Aquarius, discernment becomes key. Now, Saturn will stay in Pisces again for another year and a half, I believe it's total. And through that transit, it's going to definitely teach us more about this. And discernment is going to be a key, priceless aspect of your consciousness that you need to learn how to access. Because with artificial intelligence as it is, what is real and what is not is very difficult to tell already. Imagine, we haven't even fully stepped into the age of Aquarius. That doesn't happen until November 18th, 19th. So we already got a taste of what this new age is going to be all about. So imagine as we step fully into it, I mean, discernment is going to be absolutely key, which is why sovereignty is the absolute path that we must all learn to follow, which we'll talk about that in a few moments. So with all of these things happening, Uranus is going to be a big player, Saturn going direct, Father Time, Karma. Then at the same time, just a few days later on the 19th, Pluto finally leaves Capricorn after 16 years and goes into Aquarius. And I'm going to keep talking about this and I'll talk more about it next week. But the reason why I want to bring this up is because it already is influencing this full moon in Taurus. The full moons, the energy can really be felt and made felt presence in our body, mind, and spirit at least a week before and at least a week afterwards. So this is also a part of this mix where Pluto leaving Capricorn, what did it do for the last 16 years? Capricorn is about governments. So what it did it created this profound societal shift from this hierarchical power structures, right? The government, to a focus on a collective empowerment, innovation, power to the people, individual freedom. That's the age of Aquarius. So during its stay in Capricorn, what Pluto did for the last 16 years, and we're not done yet, because the United States of America is still going through its Pluto return. That's a 240 plus year transit. It takes Pluto almost 243 years total to go through an entire sign, right? The United States of America was founded in 1776. That's the Constitution. So that's its birthday. So right now, Pluto is going through, I mean, United States of America is going through this Pluto return. And what it did in the last 16 years as Pluto was in Capricorn, it showed us the flaws in our institutions, government. And like I said, this is just the beginning. There's so much information right now on a lot of people that have done investigations that are going to make Puff Daddy look like like harmless compared to the amount. And I'm not saying what he did was harmless. It was horrific. That is definitely demonic, definitely part of a higher power that was controlling him, right? Let's get to the real cancer. We can't just have an operation and not deal with the root cause of the cancer. But the things that will continue to be revealed in the next few months, and especially in 2025, are going to make that look like, whoa, like there, it's all connected. And there's a lot of people that are already speaking up, and there's evidence and things that were going to be revealed. I recently shared this video on my Instagram stories that you really need to go check out. I also shared it as a repost on my TikTok, where, I mean, we just barely started scratching the surface of the abuse of power that has been going on, not just for a few years, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And this affects all entities of authority. I'm talking about government, I'm talking about um, CPS, Child Protective Services. I'm talking about the financial industry, homes, home mortgages, all of it, all involved in this abuse of power that will continue to reveal itself. Corporate power, all of those things, anything that does not move in the flavor of the age of Aquarius, which is about collective values. It's about not just a dictator, it's the community, it's the people. It's an advancements in society for sure, and technology in a big way. But if these old ways of being are not changed, they will not survive in the age of Aquarius, which is why last week I did a whole podcast episode on the astrology. And to me, I really believe that the election was going to be delayed. And I believe this mainly because of Mercury getting ready to go retrograde at the end of the month. It's in its shadow period right now, which causes major delays just in getting answers, emails, all these different things, right? So I really thought that it was going to be delayed. I was actually pretty surprised how quickly it came through, but I was not surprised on who won. And it's think about it. The age of Aquarius, well, first and foremost, the new president has a lot to answer to, because the new president doesn't understand that he is now elected in the age of Aquarius, which means he's going to be held accountable by the people. And with receipts. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, it's not a surprise that he won versus the woman. Why? Because the age of Aquarius calls for newness, for innovation. And you might think, well, what do you mean? She was a woman. They called her to be a minority. I'm talking about Kamala Harris. I say they called her to be a minority because she faked being African American. If you still believe she was African American, you need to go watch the Candace Owens episodes here on YouTube, so you can actually see that that was actually just used as a gimmick to get people to vote for her, because now, oh, she's a woman and also she's African American, when she's not. She's a woman, as far as I know, right? We know that she's a woman, but African American, go check out Candace Owens's podcast episodes. And then what else did she do? She went the old traditional ways of marketing. She brought celebrities to endorse her. Does she not notice that Hollywood is literally on fire? Like no one trusts, or maybe some people still do, right? The ones that voted for her still trust celebrities with everything that's being revealed, and everything that's being revealed. You remember Hollywood, this is the end of Hollywood. There's way more that's going to get revealed, but let's hope that we actually get to the root, right? To the actual cancer, because they're just puppets. All of them are just puppets. And now they got asked she went to these old school ways of getting herself marketed and promoted. No one cares. And that didn't even help her. So look at Trump. Even though he's an older guy, he did the exact opposite. He was surrounded, even though he was older, he surrounded himself with age of Aquarius people. Who? First, his son, Barron. Barron is 18 years old. This guy knows I mean, from what I've heard, he's already having big meetings with some of the biggest movers and shakers of the world already. So this kid or guy or young man knows his stuff. And you could tell because you could see Trump's election. Who did Trump go do interviews with? He didn't bring no celebrities. He spoke to Joe Rogan. He spoke to podcasters. He spoke to the community. He spoke on authentic, or we hope they're authentic people that have different character than these celebrities that have now the facade is fallen, right? So he was very intelligent about that, about surrounding himself with these advanced technological people. Byron, his son, also Elon Musk, which I have no good things to say about Elon Musk, and people need to really watch him because he claims to be this geek who is here to evolve humanity when there are some ulterior motives, and I truly do believe that he's a puppet as well for someone else. But hello, Trump was like, you can't beat them, let's join them, right? So I'm gonna assemble a team of the most basically influential people in the age of Aquarius. And that's why he won. Everybody was like, this is the new. Even though he had been president before, this is the new because he's speaking to me about fake media. He's exposing all these things. But you have to remember, all political candidates are puppets. And even though I trust fully that the best thing occurred for the highest good of everyone, he's going to be held accountable. And we also need to watch what's happening because there's a big shift in power, not just in the United States of America, throughout the world. And there is a lot that is pointing towards even him being president, towards still pushing this agenda of one order in the world together. And I really do believe that we need to be very conscious and aware as to what is happening. And one of the things that these three DEAs were talking about was, how do we support these people that are like whistleblowers to all this basically ring of crime that has been infiltrated the United States of America for so long, that is impacting the United States of America in many ways, economically, spiritually. I mean, 400,000 children from the United States of America go missing every year. Every year, 400,000, and all connected to the same people, the same rings, the same people that we will be all, many people will be shocked to find out. So because of that, this new leadership needs to understand that they're going to be held accountable, that more truths are going to be exposed. And what they were talking about, these three very beautiful men who are pushing forward with all the receipts and all the evidence that they have found to bring this to the light, is that we as the people are the ones that need to step in and rebuild these structures, rebuild the entire government, rebuild everything as the cancer is being cleaned out at the root cause. So the year 2025, to be honest, I talk to my community about this all the time, is 2024 is like a walk in the park compared to 2025, because now we're really going to start seeing a lot of truths being revealed even more. And because of that, a lot of people are going to have cognitive dissonance, and they're going to get angry, and they're going to feel like there's no hope for the human spirit, which I'm here to represent the complete opposite of that. It's so important for you now more than ever to have a relationship with God, to have a relationship with yourself, to heal yourself, to take your sovereignty back. Because what is also happening, and this is what we're going to talk about next, is that the shift in power, yeah, there might be these criminals that have always shifted the power, and there's always this one person at the top that has been around for thousands of years. But the reason why I keep calling this a revolutionary rebalancing is because what is happening is that as we move into the age of Aquarius, the divine feminine is awakening in all of us. The creative, intuitive nature, it's in men too. We have been a patriarchal society for the last, I don't know how many thousands of years, but we once were to begin with. And for many, many thousands of years, we were a matriarchal society. And that's the bigger shift in power that's happening, that will overrule all of the nastiness and toxicity and the abuse that has been happening because of the patriarchal age. And the reason that I say that is for many reasons. First, understanding the age of Aquarius, I want to share with you what that's all about, because again, Aquarius is moving into Pluto on the 19th, both from a Yogi Bhajan perspective, which is the tantric master who brought Kundalini yoga teachings from the East to the West, but also from the Carl Jung's perspective, because Carl Jung spent a lot of time studying this, studying the age of Aquarius, and understanding what this would behold for us as humanity. So Yogi Bhajan, the master of Kundalini yoga, described the age of Aquarius as a time of rapid transformation and heightened consciousness. He emphasized that in this new age, humanity would transition from the Piscean age, which was this last 20,000 year cycle that we just went through, which really was characterized by external authority and material pursuits, the mind, to a time focused on inner authority, spiritual evolution, the heart. That's the difference between the divine feminine and the masculine. He said that basically intuition and inner guidance in the age of Aquarius has to be developed by every human being. Rather than us relying on external validation or authority, we need to be guided by our own inner truths, our own deep intuitive knowing. That is divine feminine energy. We also need to be driven and guided by our authenticity and self-awareness. This is because we're living in alignment with one's true self is going to be key. And according to Yogi Bhajan, this period would require each individual to break free from this ego-driven identities and just materialistic pursuits of the Piscean age, and instead focus on self-awareness, soul expression, and spiritual energy. And I'm not saying money is a bad thing. I love money, money loves me. And I love to, but the difference between who I am today and who I used to be in right as Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008 is that the money was just for me to hoard and more and to buy these things to keep up with the Joneses, to pretend to be someone that I wasn't. Where today, the money is an exciting flow of energy that I could use to better the lives of others, including myself. I don't need those. I love there's certain things that you should love, right? I love jewelry, not should love, that each of us have different things and passions for. Like if you're someone that loves purses, but you truly genuinely love them, or shoes, or belts, or watches, but you truly genuinely love them, not as a status symbol, not as a keeping up with the Joneses, like that's your passion, then go all out it, right? I still love, you know, traveling. I like staying in not the worst places, right? I don't need to have the high luxury. I enjoy, nice places. But if high luxury becomes available at the price that I want, I take it, right? I love my tantric necklaces. I love my silver, my gold, right? The gems and all of that. Those are things that I love, that are part of my meditation practice. There's nothing wrong with you seeking and gaining more money, right? The problem is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to do it again to destroy yourself and destroy others? What do people do with money? It just makes them more of what they are. So addictions, infidelities, all these different things. Or are you going to use that money to expand who you are and how you serve and how the world changes? Because now we're talking about legacy. And this is very relevant because in the age of Aquarius, Yogi Bhajan also say that it would be all about community and unity consciousness. And there would be all transparency and truth. Secrecy and hidden agendas would no longer be sustainable. Why do you think we're moving through what we're moving through? And why do you think in the next year more will be revealed? And people are going to be called to live in their truth and transparency, leading to greater authenticity. And this is beautiful for those of us that have done the healing work or are on the healing journey, but not for those that continue to lie and pretend to be this person at this meeting, and then all of a sudden they go and harm children or do horrible things, right? He also said, Yogi Bhajan said that meditation is very linked to higher consciousness, and that would be especially needed in this age of Aquarius, because it would be an essential tool to allow you to raise your consciousness levels. Because what's also happening right now is that our nervous systems are so fried that we need to strengthen the nervous system. We need to gain resilience needed for this world of rapid change. And just like Yogi Bhajan described the age of Aquarius, Carl Jung's perspective on the age of Aquarius, he was an influential psychologist, and he also interpreted the age of Aquarius through the lens of psychology and archetypes and collective consciousness. Jung was not explicitly astrological, but he a lot of times referenced astrological concepts, including the symbolism of Aquarius, and he recognized the significance of humanity's transition into a brand new era. And he talked about very similar things. He said that this would be the age of the integration of the self into individuation. Why? Because we realize that what you do to others affects you, and what others do to you affects them. And we're all connected. We're all connected socially in the internet. when even in the 1930s, we knew there was a war happening in the other side of the world, but we were not as connected the way we are today, knowing and seeing the videos of these poor children in Palestine who are getting completely just hurt every single day, and these families that are being torn apart, and that causes an energetic imprint in you too. And it we are compassionate beings, and we have to understand that we can, especially with the technology that's being revealed, like we don't, none of us have to be slaves anymore. So what this process involves, what Carl Jung would say, is to bring the unconscious parts of the psyche, the shadow, full moon and Taurus, into conscious awareness. That's why my meditation practices, that's what the spiritual psychotherapy, A Course in Miracles that I teach is all about. It's facing your shadows. That's how we generationally heal. In order to do this, we do this so that we can allow for a more holistic and complete self, which Aquarius, with its connection to the higher mind and innovation, it represents this path toward inner wholeness. Again, if you're not following this evolution and you're not evolving with Mother Earth, then you're going to go extinct, right? And Carl Jung would always talk about collective consciousness and the unconscious. He would talk about the reconciliation of the opposites, the unity of the masculine and the feminine, that's what the age of Aquarius was all about, where there was integration of masculine and feminine energies, both within an individual and as a society. He saw this balance as essential for psychological health and for our cultural progress. And he also talked about a time where people would become more aware of the archetypal forces that are shaping their lives, like the astrology, like the planets. Aquarius is a sign that's associated with enlightenment. It represents humanity's potential to understand and work with these powerful inner symbols consciously. That's the Christ consciousness awakening in all of us. Because I don't know if you knew, but Jesus Christ was Gnostic. I'm going to have to do a whole other video on that. And the Course in Miracles teachings are Gnostic. And then they're so important for generational healing because they teach us unconditional forgiveness and unconditional love. This is not being pushovers. This is us realizing that what was done to us, especially a generational pattern of trauma, is not because of our self-worth or who we are, but it's because of that person's pain. And as simple as that sounds, it's a process of healing the mind that liberates you from these identities that prevent you from accepting the atonement or enlightenment, like our brother Jesus Christ said that we could all do. So the age of Aquarius, Carl Jung would say, was very psychic transformation, where this is a new era of spiritual evolution, of psychological insight. He believed humanity would undergo a significant psychic shifts, bringing greater clarity and creativity and spiritual growth. And that's exactly what we're all going through. And this is a time when he would say that we would all begin to heal our individual and collective traumas by tapping into the depths of the psyche. This is the age of Aquarius. This is why I know that God guided me to devote my life to generational healing. I said yes to the call of evolution, and here I am to get today. So together, Jogi Bhajan and Carl's Jung perspective provide this really powerful view of this age of Aquarius. And do you see a theme? Do you see this shift of Aquarian age moving from this patriarchal, masculine, ego-driven society toward one that embraces both? And I'm not saying the masculine is going to go away, embraces both, union. That's why the ancestors of Mayan knew that this would be the beginning of time in 2025, but they could never imagine what that would look like because that's up to us. We're creating the future every day with our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. But in this age of Aquarius, the masculine and feminine qualities are honored, fostering wholeness and compassion and unity. And this journey is what encourages humanity to let go of an eye for an eye, of just materialism, of external authority and divisive structures, allowing for a world guided by love, by compassion, by universal consciousness. And together, both perspectives call us all to build a new paradigm that honors the soul, that uplifts community, and that awakens a sense of shared purpose in a very profound way for all of us. So when you think about the theme of this full moon in Taurus, revolutionary rebalancing, well, what are we revolutionarily rebalancing into? Well, that is the divine feminine energy. We spent a lot of time this morning in sadhana practice where I went through this whole history and timeline. of when we used to be a matriarchal society to why it turned into a patriarchal society. A matriarchal society, for those of you that may not know, is a societal system where women hold positions of power and authority and are actually the primary decision makers in their families and communities, and harness this divine feminine energy very effortlessly. Although men also harnessed and did harness this energy back then as well too. They are complementary energies within everyone. The divine feminine, intuitive, right? Nurturing, receptive. In women, this appears as empathy, nurturing, emotional openness. Same thing for men. And openness, compassion, willingness to connect with your intuition as a man and your feelings. The divine masculine is the action-oriented part of us, the logical, protective, and confident. It's purposeful, it's goal-focused, symbolizes the sun and fire. And in men, we see this as assertiveness, in women too, goal-oriented action, protective strength, the physical. In women, appears as confidence as well, resilience, setting boundaries, and taking charge. Now, balancing both. These energies are about balancing both. Remember, there's a whole podcast episode here that I did with my sister Elvira, where we talked about toxic masculinity. My whole healing journey has been about healing my toxic masculinity, the abuse of power. But together, with the healing work that I've done in these last few years, I've allowed my divine feminine to flourish, my intuition, my creativity. And now I can access either aspects of the energy and use them when they're needed. They enable you to be decisive yet compassionate, nurturing yet strong. And especially like even corporate America, or you're getting hired, they don't care about just the college degree. They look at your experience, they look at how creative you are, they look at your nervous system. If I was a CEO of a big corporate company, because if your nervous system is not strong, we're gonna have some problems. And the whole thing about a matriarchal society is that we've had matriarchal societies in the past for a long time. There's, for example, back in when was the first time that the matriarchal society started to pop up? We're talking about 40,000 to 4,000 BCE with the Paleolithic and early Neolithic eras. Early human societies were largely and possibly matriarchal, or at least matrifocal. So there was ancient matriarchal cultures that go back to 3000, 1300 BCE, even in places like pre-dynasty Egypt. In Minoan civilization and Crete, women held prominent roles. In Indus Valley civilization, there was no hierarchy. It was goddess centered, indicating a really balanced society. We see a matriarchal society in many indigenous societies, and it's still ongoing. The Native American groups like the Iroquois, they practice matrilineal systems, matriarchal systems, with women being the key roles there. African societies, such as the Akan, they followed the matriarchal traditions, and women held a very significant role and authority. And even later on in classical, actual the patriarchy transition happened in 4000 to 2000 BCE. That's when it started. This is when the big shift started to happen. And the reason that this started to happen was because wars started to happen. So we needed more blunt force. And also as agriculture started to develop, land ownership led to inheritance, systems that then started to favor male lineages. And this started to happen around 4000, 2000 BCE. With the rise of warfare, the societies became more militaristic, and male physical strength was prioritized at that point. And even in religious practices, we see a shift, because in Mesopotamia, male gods like Marduk started to gain dominance. And then we had all of these reinforcements around male authority. So we started to see this as a pattern from there forward, 2000 BCE and onward, ancient Greece and Rome, male-dominated societies, medieval Europe, also entrenched in patriarchal systems, reinforcing male power. So we've had a long run in the age of Pisces of patriarchal society. But remember, I just shared with you that the age of Aquarius is upon us. And the age of Aquarius does not fit any of these things. So it's about us learning to balance these energies, and Kundalini yoga meditation offers a direct path to that, because ultimately what a yogi is somebody that can be in their neutral mind. This is a state of equanimity and a balance where both the masculine and feminine energies can coexist. And we build this through prana, our breathing techniques in Kundalini yoga meditation, mudra, the way we position our hands, because they create an energetic imprint or an energetic rebalancing in the body, mind, spirit. The way we even position our eyes, whether we close them, gaze to the center, it's called drishti, gaze to the middle of the forehead. And of course, chanting. We have specific codes that open up portals to the subconscious and portals to the unified field, the Adi Shakti Kundalini energy, where you can access that energy field in order to what? Heal your mind, your body, your spirit, to create from the unseen. Kundalini Yoga is a fundamental mother of awareness. She brings you all of these attributes that are needed in the age of Aquarius. And we do have specific mantras. So, for example, in Kundalini Yoga Adi Shakti, we're working with this mantra a lot in our free private Facebook community. The Sovereign Sister Academy is closed for enrollment, but you can join us in the free private Facebook group community, Sovereign Sisterhood Movement, which I'll link below here in the comments, because this entire month and a little bit of last month, we started to work with the Adi Shakti energy. The Adi Shakti is a unified field, the Kundalini energy, the divine feminine energy that we can actually activate within our own bodies and use our bodies as technology to bring balance, especially if you're someone like me who was had no balance in her feminine and masculine. I was way driven only by my masculine energies, because that's what I learned. So to help you better understand that, this is a radical, revolutionary rebalancing with a major shift of power. Yes, the nastiness and the toxicity, they're still trying to do it here, right? But underneath all of this, the real shift in power that's happening is from this only patriarchal society to a balanced matriarchal society, where the divine feminine energy is actually what is admired, welcomed, known as incredibly powerful. So what I would say for you for this week, tips to help you navigate this full moon right now. Number one, reassess the structures in your life. With Saturn in Pisces and Pluto shifting from Capricorn into Aquarius, you're going to need to examine where you've built structures that may no longer align with your true values. And even if you don't examine it, with Uranus in the mix this full moon, you might receive that sign or that truth and you might not like it. So I always like to learn in a way that I call releasing the bulldozer method. The bulldozer method is when you get hit with the bulldozer and you're like, ooh, you don't want to learn that way. And God doesn't do that to you. You do that to yourself. So welcome these downloads, welcome whatever is being shown to you as the truth, because this is a time for you to release these limiting frameworks that are not going to survive. If you don't evolve, it's like the dinosaurs. If we don't evolve into the divine feminine energies, we're going to go extinct. And I'm not saying all of us, but those that don't evolve. My life has completely changed in the last 16 years. I don't even look like what I used to look like 16 years ago when Pluto first went into Capricorn. I listened to Mother Earth, and there's still a lot of things that I need to listen to evolve and change, but that's a constant process, a constant growth, AFCO, another freaking growth opportunity. That's all it is. And that's never ending. Your soul will forever continue to evolve. But right now, you need to really pay attention with which old, outdated structures are no longer working, and you need to bring them to awareness so that you can alchemize them and change them. You also need to honor the divine feminine and masculine within you. So balancing your energies, taking conscious action rooted in inner wisdom rather than pure logic, allowing both the masculine strength and the feminine to nurture and to guide you. So check out the free Facebook group, the Sovereign Sisterhood Movement, where I share more tools and actual pathways to making this a reality in your life. You also need to embrace intuition as a guide. Stop relying so much on other people. I have incredible mentors. And not only as teachers, but my community. I am so grateful for my community because the vision that I got is that we are these high priestesses basically that are channeling and holding this frequency in earth, right? Everything that they share makes an impact on my life. Like it's a reason that they're sharing it, right? So as much as you're trusting yourself, yes, that's very, very key. But you're also going to need to find community, especially in the age of Aquarius. Why? Because in community, you can look at the energies that are coming back and forth, and you can actually learn to really, really embrace intuition as your guide. Because through others and what they say, you can trust what your intuition is telling you. So, community is going to be key, even though you're going to need to learn to trust yourself. So, I take what's important for me from my teachers and from my mentors and from my community, and 100% of the time, it's something that I needed to hear in order for me to continue to evolve. I seek answers within me as well, but typically, like if my mentors or my teachers teach me something, then there's things that stand out, and I bring it into my own awareness, into my own nervous system, and I create its own specific meaning to what that means to me, particularly. That's sovereignty, because this awareness fosters a balanced ability to make decisions. And it also reveals to you where personal rebalancing is needed if you're too much reliant on someone outside of you. I also suggest a lot of self-care this week. We went through a whole ritual today in sadhana. I don't have enough time to go through it here, but basically, you don't need protection from spiritual warfare is real, spiritual attacks are real, curses are real. We've been talking about this week on the podcast episode. Check out on Tuesday's episode this week because we're going to talk about relationship curses. They're real, but you don't need protection. I don't protect myself from anything out there. My daily meditation practice creates a really strong aura that protects me. We need protection from ourselves, from our own personal mind, but beyond protection, what we really need is energy cleansing. So what I did today in sadhana is I shared with my community ways to release energy because we all have built up energy, but especially if you're like a coach, a manager, a CEO, I mean, a mom that's running her house, right? She's the leader of that. She takes on other people's energy unconsciously. This is really real. And so what we need to do is transfer that energy, release it, cleanse and purify. That's very, very key. So this week, things like burning sage. I went through a whole we talked a little bit about it in the podcast this week, so check it out tomorrow. I'll link it here. But it's this egg cleansing that the Purepecha people, my ancestors, used to do. And growing up, I was raised around that, but being able to do a cleansing with an actual egg to transfer the energy from you to that egg, that's key. And that's something that we're gonna need to do more often, more than once a week. I do that whenever the energy purification, whenever I've had like a really heavy class meeting or one-on-one appointment, right? But also making it a ritual of like every Friday. This is what I use Friday for, to just release any energies that have become attached to me. The other thing that I would also say is very important for you this week is to actually connect with community. In the age of Aquarius, you're not doing this alone. There's no hierarchy. It's so important for you to connect with community because through that you are also connecting to ancestral wisdom. And that's what this is one of the most important things for this week. Leaning into support of others, honoring those matriarchal values such as collaboration, wisdom, and connection, because the patriarchy did such a great job of keeping women away from each other. So it's so important for women to come together, not to compete, not to fight, but to share in their upgrade of consciousness and their experiences, who value the same balance and approach to life so they can draw strength from each other. So, like I said, if you're not part of a community, it's very important that you find your people, find your tribe. You can join us in the free Facebook group. The Sovereign Sisterhood Academy is not open for enrollment. However, you can also join us at Satori. That's my monthly membership community. All of these communities are virtual, and all of them offer, well, Satori, Vitality and Spirituality, particularly offers you an entry point to generational healing. Most women that have never done any type of inner healing work, they're very low on their energy levels and vitality. because their emotions are eating up all of their energy. That's why they're so tired and they have to drink all this energy drinks to keep up and all these different things. So I find it that it was very difficult for a woman who has never done any healing work to go right into the academy where we do the deep healing work of generational healing. So what I like to do is I like to start the women at Satori, especially if they're beginning their journey, they've never meditated, they've never practiced any type of spiritual psychotherapy. That's where you want to start. As you raise your vitality levels, then you can graduate into joining us at the academy when it does open for a woman, but it's not open for a woman. But finding your community and connecting with ancestral wisdom is going to be key. So you have a few choices. Go find a community out there, ladies, that is aligned with your value systems. Join us at the free Facebook group, Sovereign Sisterhood Movement in Facebook. I'll link it below, or you can join us at Satori Vitality and Spirituality. It's actually a affordable monthly membership that you can cancel at any time, but I promise you that once you join us for 1 month, you really will not leave, because that's what happens with all the women that join us. So check out the link below. Now, talking about ancestral wisdom and community, this is leading us now into this week's ancestral tarot guidance. Oh my gosh, which is just confirming everything that I just shared with you. Now, if this video is resonating with you, please hit that like button, subscribe, share it, and leave a comment. Let me know what parts resonated with you about this full moon and what parts you have questions around. Remember, we're growing this global movement of generational healing. So every like, every comment, every subscription helps so much. So I thank you in advance for doing that as well. So let's get into the ancestral tarot guidance, because I almost fell backwards when I saw the cards that came up, because it is literally everything that I'm sharing with you as it relates to this full moon in Taurus. So the first card that came out, talk about masculine, divine masculine energy. In the immediate past, so I pulled 3 cards, one for the immediate past, one for the present energy, and one for the future. And in the immediate past, the first card that we get is the divine masculine himself, the Emperor. Upright, too. This represents a period that you're just coming from, the age of Pisces, right? Where you were working with the strong, disciplined masculine energy, where you were developing structure and organization, putting the puzzle pieces together of the past logically. In patriarchal societies, these values of control, order, and authority, they were paramount. And they prioritized the mind over external power, they prioritized the mind and external power over intuition and inner wisdom. But now, here you are. You're learning how not to abuse it. Upright. You stepped into roles where others have relied on you for stability, for support. You looked at the structures and the order in your life, and you looked at what was imposed rules or boundaries that you had to create in order to create more stability. You were breaking down lots of challenges into manageable parts and following a systematic approach. There was wisdom, there was guidance, maybe even you acted as a mentor, where you used this masculine energy to heal it from any abuse of toxicity, where you were abusing the power. You were learning these lessons about how not to do that anymore. And because of that, you were able to step into your own authority. You've taken charge of a situation here in the immediate past, or you've embraced a role that now requires you to be firm, fair in leadership. This confidence that you've built because you've dealt with the toxic masculinity is what's driving your decision making right now. And it's helping others that you work with also feel very secure, very protected. That's all divine masculine energy. And this is in our immediate past. Can you believe that? Now, in the present, this is the in between, the hermit. Because now what the hermit is saying is that we're in this period now of introspection. We're breaking away from the limitations of just this patriarchal mindset in order to access deeper knowledge, interconnectedness of the unified field. And it's through this unified field, which is known as Adi Shakti energy, is right through this neutrality where we find our inner guidance, where we reconnect to ancient wisdom that predates patriarchal dominance. This is you as a high priestess, but right now you need to totally be within yourself. You need to be in this period of soul searching, withdrawn from these daily distractions. Maybe you're being called right now to spend time alone, away from the external world. You're focused now on spiritual growth. And this is motivating to you because it's instilling these deep principles of authenticity. You're on this journey right now of self discovery because of all the lessons that you learned from the Emperor energy. So, this has become a really pivotal phase of examining your goals, of shifting directions, aligning with your true self. So, right now, you're being encouraged by the ancestors to trust this inner light, to guide each step, to don't rush into saying yes to all these invitations because right now it's like the um, um, caterpillar in the cocoon. The caterpillar doesn't try to get out. The caterpillar naturally knows when it's time to step up. So now this is the phase where you might also be receiving mentorship from a spiritual mentor to help you also raise your consciousness. Don't say no to that because that's what's going to help you to reconnect with your own inner guide or even or inner teacher. So you're taking this time from the emperor energy, this in between to now, are you kidding me? The empress. This is the divine feminine card and she's upright. So this is literally us returning to this matriarchal values. We're embodying abundance. The empress is abundant. She's intuitive, she's creative, she's nurturing. And isn't what the age of Aquarius is all about? This is a reawakening of this energy within you. This is the counterpart of the Emperor. Look at you becoming balanced in your energies. Here you thought you were lost. Now the Empress is reconnecting you to your sensuality, to your receptivity. She's inviting you to embrace your feminine qualities. There's one right now in the Sovereign Sisterhood Academy. We're working through a 40-day womb, WOMB, reclamation journey. And this is celebratory victory, where we have finally learned that it's safe to trust ourselves, where you're also probably connecting to nature and Mother Earth a lot more. You're bringing harmony between the spiritual and the physical. So card is calling you to ground, to continue to ground your energy, spending time outdoors with Mother Earth so that you can continue to feel encouraged to nurture both the masculine and the feminine within you. This card is all about abundance and growth. This is the period of prosperity coming to you where everything you've been working towards actually manifests a lot easier. Why? Because you're in your divine feminine creative nature. You know who you are. The Empress is very fertile. She represents fertility, both literal and metaphorical. So, birth of new ideas, projects, but also if you're not wanting to get pregnant, be careful because this is also a pregnancy. So, it could be that you're birthing an actual baby now because of this beautiful balancing you did, this inner healing, or a project is now fully coming into fruition. So, you feel safe returning to your creative expression. You feel safe being nurturing and compassionate. Those walls have finally come down. And this is key because as we step into the age of Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius on November 19th, we're all collectively moving towards this society that embraces the divine feminine principles, creativity, collaboration, and unity. The age of Aquarius, remember, is all about us shifting away from individualism and separateness, moving into global awareness where we know we have shared responsibility, collective consciousness, compassion. The shift of a matriarchal feminine society does not mean we eliminate the masculine. You see here, it's a harmonization of these energy, just as the emperor, the hermit, and the empress. Here they're guiding us through this balance where we are being called to align with the unified field of the Adi Shakti energy, the unified field of Kundalini, Some people call it plasma. Some people call it chi. There's so many different names for the same type of energy that we can all access and harness in order to heal ourselves. So what are some ways that we can actually start to do this? Well, I would say, first and foremost, it's important for you to really understand that meditation is going to be a big, big part of the age of Aquarius, if not the most important part, because that leads to trusting your intuition, but also connecting to ancestral wisdom. In case you didn't notice, the ancestors are back. They're back living through us in a very big way, being represented in many different places in leadership as well too. And because the ancestors are back, they're needing you to connect to that ancestral wisdom more and more. That is the only way you can heal yourself, by going back to the roots and heal the world. So on top of understanding meditation in order to balance our masculine and feminine energies, we have to really spend time with our rituals. To me, my ritual is my daily meditation practice, but I have other rituals. Like, for example, when I go through a big, like when we do these 40-day journeys in the academy, 40 days of forgiveness, 40 days, we've done 40 days of releasing anger. Right now, we're working on 40 days of the womb reclamation. What I do is I bring offerings to my ancestors at their altar as a thank you. The egg is another thing, a ritual that I was telling you about, the egg cleansing. But there's also so many other things that you can research and find out more about what your ancestors did to keep that as a ritual. Because on top of the meditation, rituals are going to be key in order for you to continue to reconnect to that wisdom that has always been within you. Remember, your ancestors are your emotions. They speak to you through emotions. They are the vibration of your DNA. So what the ancestors really want us to know this week is that as we move through this journey with the emperor represented, the hermit, and the empress, that it is really time for us to step into their power, into this unified field where we're not giving our power outside of us, where we're embracing this transition as an opportunity to harmonize, to heal, and to co-create a brand new paradigm that honors both the masculine and feminine within each and every one of us. So much happening this week. What I can tell you, and what I know to be 1,000% true, is that God's hand is everywhere right now. And I'm talking about the real God, not the God of the Bible or the God of evil that at one point has ruled this earth for way too long. I'm talking about the all-loving, beautiful God that has always been with you, and that is not only cheering you on to evolve and to come back home to yourself, but that is supporting you. And all you have to remember is how worthy you are and to call upon God within. So as we move through this very transformative week, just remember that the energy of the full moon in Taurus is offering you the opportunity to release what no longer serves and make space for the abundant, nurturing power of the divine feminine. We all have to trust right now that we are returning to the matriarchal divine feminine society, and that it's time for healing and empowerment, even though lots of cancer is being brought up. This is a time for us to really understand that the clarity and strength that we're seeking on our own personal evolution comes from within, and that we are powerful beings as it relates to not only healing ourselves, but to creating from the unknown, from our hearts, from a place of intuitive wisdom. Thank you all so much for joining me this week on our weekly astrology update and ancestral tarot guidance. I will link all of the information below. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share this with all of your friends and family. And as we move through these weekly updates, I will share more about the things that will continue to be revealed as we move into this age of Aquarius, as well as how you can use these energies for your own personal evolution and to reclaim your sovereignty. I'll see you all next week.